Alright, here we go. Number 1, banned from owning just one guinea pig. In Switzerland, keeping pets isn't just a personal hobby but a social responsibility, and guinea pigs are the prime example. These creatures are highly social, and isolating one is like locking a human in solitary confinement. They may stop eating, fall into depression, and even die from loneliness. The government classifies this as animal abuse, so it's written into law. Owning only one guinea pig is illegal. You must keep at least 2 so they can have companionship. But this law creates a chain of almost comical dilemmas. If you have 2 and one dies, the other immediately becomes a loneliness victim, forcing you to buy another to stay within the law. This can set off an endless cycle, turning your home into a guinea pig colony before you know it. The Swiss even came up with a guinea pig rental service to fill the gap, like an Airbnb for rodents. Which means that in a country famous for precise clocks and holy cheese, you could literally become a criminal just for letting a guinea pig live alone. Number 2 inches Australia. You need a magician's license to own a rabbit. In Australia, rabbits aren't cute pets, they're boss-level ecological villains. Just 2 can multiply into hundreds in under 2 years, stripping lush fields into barren deserts and costing agriculture billions. The government even built a fence over 2,000 kilometers long to stop them. But rabbits still burrowed under, slipped through, and wrecked everything like short-legged bioterrorists. So a nationwide ban was declared. Owning a rabbit is basically like keeping an ecological time bomb in your house. But there's one exception that's both logical and absurd. Professional magicians are allowed to keep rabbits, provided they can prove their occupation with proper paperwork. That means if you can pull a rabbit from a hat on stage, the law has your back. But if all you've got are a few card tricks copied off YouTube, sorry, you're not qualified to cuddle a bunny at home. Number 3, mispronouncing Arkansas was once illegal. In the 19th century, if you ever called Arkansas Arkansas, you were breaking the law. The state's name came from the Quapaw tribe and was written down by the French as Arkansas. And because French has that quirky rule where the final S is silent, the correct pronunciation became Arkansas. But many Americans, seeing it spelled just like Kansas, casually called it Arkansas, as if it were Kansas's country cousin. Locals were so fed up that in 1881, they passed a law officially declaring the proper pronunciation and banning the wrong one outright. Imagine that mispronouncing a state's name was treated like an insult to cultural identity, serious enough to need legislation. The law still exists today. Of course, no one's getting handcuffed for saying it wrong, but locals will glare at you with more disdain than an American Idol judge, hearing a painfully off-key audition. Number 4 inches Japan green lights are actually blue. In Japan, when the traffic light turns the color the rest of the world calls green, the Japanese insist it's blue. It's not color blindness, it's language. Old Japanese only had a few basic color terms, and the word AO was used for both blue and green. When international rules required traffic lights to be green, Japan had a dilemma: make them standard green and break centuries of calling it blue, or stay with tradition and break global standards. Their solution? Create a shade that's blue enough to still look green, and stick it on traffic lights. The result? Tourists feel like they've walked into a video game. Graphics bug lights clearly look blue, yet mean go. Japanese kids are even taught in school that it's the blue light you cross on. And it doesn't stop there. Unripe green apples are called blue apples. In a language where fruit can turn into the color of the sky, no wonder visitors are baffled every time they step off the curb. If you're still watching, make sure to subscribe, channel, and like video. Let's keep going. Number 5, tattoos banned in Japanese hot springs. You might think soaking in a Japanese onsen surrounded by mountains sounds relaxing until the receptionist bows and denies you entry for having even the tiniest tattoo. It's not because they hate body art, but because in Japan tattoos are deeply tied to the Yakuza, the organized crime syndicates. For centuries, full-body ink was a symbol of power and loyalty within the gangs, so when locals see a tourist with a tiny butterfly on their ankle, they don't think, what a cute design. They think, oh no, here's a mobster who likes extortion. More than half of Japan's onsens still enforce strict no-tattoo policies, even for the smallest designs. Some modern spas offer adhesive covers or private baths, but most still say no, meaning if you got love inked on your wrist for an X. In Japan, it's basically the same as walking into a hot spring with a giant sign reading, "I'm in a gang." Number 6. Singapore once banned chewing gum. In 1992, Singapore faced constant breakdowns in its subway system, and the culprits were wads of chewing gum stuck to doors, buttons, and seats. Some vandals even jammed gum into door sensors, stopping trains from closing, and costing millions in damages while commuters were left stranded. The government struck back with an all-out ban on selling and importing chewing gum, treating it like a weapon of urban destruction. Anyone caught smuggling it could face jail time or fines up to $100,000. The only exception was medicinal gum, like nicotine gum for quitting smoking, and even then you needed a doctor's prescription. The result? Singapore quickly became spotless, with no more sticky shoes or grimy handrails. Tourists arrived both impressed and intimidated. In a country where chewing gum could make you a criminal, littering was clearly out of the question. Number 2. Venice is famous people for feeding pigeons. Venice used to be famous for squares swarming with pigeons. Tourists happily tossing breadcrumbs and snapping photos. But the truth is, each pigeon produces up to 25 pounds of droppings a year, and that biological weapon is enough to eat away marble, turning historic monuments into Swiss cheese facades. When flocks balloon into the thousands, the city looks like a construction site, being eroded day by day. Venice's authorities had to ban feeding the birds outright. Anyone caught scattering crumbs is fined on the spot, and plainclothes officers even patrolled to catch tourists in the act. In places like Mumbai, pigeons are so numerous that planes sometimes alter flight paths to avoid collisions. So, don't assume tossing breadcrumbs is harmless in Venice. It's basically the equivalent of flinging acid at a church, and your wallet will quickly evaporate paying the steep fine. Number 8. Japanese sumo wrestlers are banned from driving. In 2001, a car accident caused by a sumo wrestler left a woman dead, shocking Japan. To the Japanese, sumo wrestlers aren't just athletes, they're considered living cultural treasures, with every action scrutinized like Hollywood stars. The Japan Sumo Association responded by imposing a strict ban. All active wrestlers are forbidden from driving, license or not. Instead, they must take taxis, hire drivers, or squeeze onto crowded commuter trains with everyone else. Imagine riding a rush-hour train already packed to bursting, only for a 200-kilogram giant to step aboard, instantly turning the car into a sardine can under pressure. Thanks to this rule, sumo wrestlers have become giants without steering wheels. Proof that being a cultural icon sometimes means losing control over even the most ordinary parts of daily life. Number 9. Arizona gives heavy penalties for harming cacti. In Arizona, messing with a saguaro cactus is like insulting a national monument. These giants can live over 200 years, taking 75 years just to sprout their first arm. And they serve as full apartment complexes for birds, bats, and countless desert creatures. The state protects them so fiercely that cutting down or transporting one illegally can land you up to 25 years in prison, on par with serious felonies. On the black market, a full-grown saguaro can fetch tens of thousands of dollars, but the risk could ruin your life. Locals react with outrage when vandals spray graffiti on them, as if someone had defaced the Statue of Liberty. And even if a cactus is in your own yard, you can't just move it, you need government permission. In short, in Arizona, saguaros are treated less like plants and more like citizens, and if you dare harm them, prison is ready to welcome you. That's all for today. Comment the one that fooled you the longest, and subscribe if you want more brain bugs explained.